Are back at it today. I'm joined by none other than Kima from the group Total. Kima, how you doing?
Hey, I'm good. I'm good. I'm blessed. How you doing?
I'm real good, real good. Thanks for asking. Now, I want to jump deep into your career, but first, I want to know what is Kima up to in 2020?
What am I up to in 2020? It's been a crazy year.
It has.
Not much because I'm not moving around as much because I'm social distancing. But like at home, we have been. We started working on a project a while ago with my daughter. So during the pandemic, she wrote a record and we released it. So we've been doing stuff with her music and helping her, build a platform for her solo career. And her
Okay, so
name
you're
is Kima Marie, by the way.
Tina Marie?
Kima
Kima
Marie.
Marie, I apologize. Okay, so she's a solo artist, you said, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Does she have music available on all platforms, or are you?
Yes, she
No.
does. She has a song out now called Pressure on all digital outlets. And another song, what was the other song called? Love Lies. Love Lies.
Okay.
That's on Love Lies is on SoundCloud.
Okay. So, what is your role in her album? Do you have features? Do you help produce it? Do you just kind of bounce ideas off each other?
Well, we're actually still working on her album. I let her be her own artist. Like I don't go in the studio with her. I don't, I may talk to her and critique her at home, but I do let her go in and find her own creative side. And then she may come home and ask my opinion, and I do it that way. I'm in the background. Like
Excellent.
in the background. But we are now discussing, we had like it's been like a rough month for us because COVID struck home and we lost a loved one and had to isolate and all that other stuff. So this whole month's been like crazy, but
Sure.
we are, moving forward talking about doing her and I doing a record together for her album.
Okay. Sure. Sure. Okay, so when we jump into your career, do you remember the first time somebody recognized you as a great singer?
The first time someone recognized me as a great singer. Let's say, I want to say, to be honest, like, I want to say recently, like when we did like the Bad Boy tour and I was out doing stuff with Pam and her and I were touring. I feel like people really got to hear me and stuff like that. So I want to say the very first time where I received it was more in the present than it was in the past.
Okay, so
Because
you
I
weren't
wasn't as confident and I did, like the Kima in the 90s wasn't the confident Kima now.
interesting. So you weren't like 12 years old, for example, at church and someone's like, "Oh my
Oh
gosh, listen
yeah,
to her."
yeah, 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 yeah.
Okay, so I
But
guess when do you think the first time that you realized
the
maybe there's
first
something you want to do,
time
I should say?
I would say I was about 13 years old and was singing in a choir
Okay.
and me and my best friend were doing this solo. And that was the first time someone was like, he had a good voice. The choir director, he really pushed us to do the solo. I was shy, I was scared, and he just really helped me to bring all of that out.
Okay. So you brought up that you were kind of shy, you didn't have the confidence. Why do you think that was? Just kind of maturing into the artist
Yeah,
you were going to
yeah. I didn't,
become, or?
like I was in a new, the industry was, new, fresh out the bird's nest, from home and stuff like that. And it was different. So it was very intimidating. And, I wasn't as confident because I didn't really know who Chemo was.
Okay. Now, when did Total come together and become a group?
Total, we came, Total, Keisha and I went to high school together, and that's when we first met. But shortly after we graduated high school, Keisha and I, like, we had a lot of things in common. So we would see each other out and stuff like that. And we became friends and started going out. And one day we were riding around and she heard me sing. And Keisha always would be like in talent shows and stuff like that. So it was always an interest for her. So she heard me sing and she was just like, oh, I didn't know you could sing. I wanted to start a group and stuff like that. So that's how Total started with Keisha and I. Later on, we met Pam through a mutual producer we were working with.
Okay. So how'd you guys get hooked up with Diddy?
We met Diddy. Keisha and I used to hang out at this skating ring in Bergenfield, New Jersey called The Rink. And we met some guys from the Bronx. It was and they introduced us to Kathy. Kathy Dukes was Total's first manager, and she introduced us to Puffy. Her son was Puffy's godson. So that's how we met Puffy.
Okay, nice. So when you guys started coming together, do you know what actually made Diddy think, okay, this is my group, these are my girls? Was
Um
there
well, I know when we met Kathy, her name was Kathy Dukes. That's what she was known for. Like, she took us to meet Puffy one night. She was like, I got these girls, they dope. I want you to hear them sing. And, she gave us a lot of critiquing in the car on the way from Mount Vernon to Manhattan to the studio. That Puffy was in the studio that night working with Jodeci. So she was like, yo, Puffy about to come down. When he come down, soon as that elevator door open, we want y'all just go for it. Y'all just better, you know, rock his world or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So it was just like, and that's exactly what we did. And we sung this song. It was called Just a Freak in Me. It was a song that we had wrote. And, Puffy being Puffy, he kind of was just like, oh, all right, he ain't act like he was very impressed initially. But she said Puffy had called her like 5 o'clock in the morning and was like, yo, that's, don't take them nowhere. I want to work with them. And this is when Puffy was like at Bad Boy. I mean, I'm sorry, no, at Uptown. Sorry.
sure.
This is when he was at Uptown, and we were initially going to sign to Uptown Records, but then, he went into his Bad Boy deal and took us over to Bad Boy with him.
Okay. So Diddy seems like at times perhaps he could be, I don't know, a perfectionist. I mean, how was it working with him?
Um, it was, it had its moments of intimidation. It had its moments of being very inspiring. You never really knew like what mode Puffy was gonna be in. It used to be like they'd be like Puffy coming to the studio, and you would kind of like brace yourself and be like, okay, what it's gonna be like today. You know what I'm saying? So, so it was both good and bad. Like sometimes, he taught us a lot of good things. And the one thing Puffy did say, he was definitely a perfectionist, and he always said, "You girls want to be a household name. You want to make music that stand 20 years from now." And we did. So all the hard work, all the I want to make sure I say the right words, because I
Sure.
don't feel like sometimes he get a bad rep for being kind of for being hard, but it's I've realized now that it was always with a purpose, with a good
Sure.
purpose. So,
Okay.
it had its moments. It had its good and bad moments.
Excellent. So for any young aspiring artist, guy or girl, perhaps, so if you are shy or you don't have your confidence is quite there, what advice would you give them? I mean, you obviously stepped it up for Diddy enough to him want to sign you guys.
Right. I mean, you definitely have to have a lot of self love and thick skin and kind of believe in yourself, because if you don't, you will create this illusion that nobody else does when it's really you not believing in you. So I would just say, nowadays therapy is popular. If you need to talk to somebody, because I found out, through life, through experience and stuff, when I would open up about how I was really feeling about things, it really wasn't what I had all in my head. So just learning to speak about how you feel, be true about how you feel, be true to yourself, and believe in yourself, love yourself.
Excellent. So your first album, self-titled, was actually platinum right out the gate. Can't You See is a huge song. I believe it was number 2 on the hip hop and R&B charts. You worked with Biggie. How is it to start off so fresh and just so hot right out of the gate?
Well, our first actual hit record that we were on, Can't You See, was not the first. It was actually Juicy, which we never got featured on, but that was actually Total on that record. But I mean, it felt good. You know, it felt great. You know, like Can't You See? Right after we did Juicy, which was like we went into the studio just hanging out with Biggie one night, and the track was playing, and me and Keisha was back there just like humming it. He was like, y'all go put the vocals down. So we go put the vocals down, and it, Puffy kept them. And then we did One More Chance. We did the original One More Chance on on a Ready to Die record, not the remix. So once Juicy hit the way it hit, Puffy was like, yo, we got to get another record out on the girls. And that's how Can't You See came about. He found the soundtrack for us to be on, which was New Jersey Drive. And, it just felt really good to just keep putting hit after hit after hit out at that moment.
Excellent. I'm glad you brought Juicy up because it's a little confusing for a fan when you read online. So there's two versions of Juicy, correct? One you were in and one was a different version. Is that correct?
Well, that's One More Chance.
Okay, so Juicy did. So you guys 100% did the hook that's in the video and everything?
Yep.
Okay.
You're talking about One More Chance
featuring Total. I'm sorry.
Well, I mean that's another interview. Okay. Like that, okay. That's another interview. To me, I'll say this, that was totally on our part. Biggie did make sure that we did get compensated, and it's all good. You know what I'm saying? Like, we was on a record with our brother. It was all love. So, but the why we weren't featured, I feel like that's a whole nother, discussion that, I don't want to have that right now. But that is Total on Juicy. The record you're referring to where there's two different versions is One More Chance, and there's a version, we're on the album version, and then there's a remix version that features Faith. And sure. Faith, that's the one that they shot the video for and that they put the single out on, the remix, which features Faith.
Okay, sure. So yeah, your first song was "Can't You See" on your guys' album. Yeah, you had plenty of work before. Yeah. Of course, you worked.
Can't You See was on. Can't You See was on the New Jersey Drive soundtrack track.
Excellent.
Yes.
Okay. So, what was your favorite song on your guys' first album?
My favorite song on our first album was I have to say "Kissing You."
Excellent.
Yep, that was my favorite song.
Okay. So a couple years later, you have your second album come out. Was it difficult? Was it a hard transition? Was it business as usual?
No, it definitely was business as usual because at that time we had formed a relationship with Missy, and we went down to Virginia and we got in the studio with her and we just started recording, and we were sending songs to Puffy, and he was just like, yo, y'all got a vibe, so y'all just keep recording. So that's how Missy just came into pretty much producing almost the whole second album. So it was awesome. Just something we kind of just flowed right into.
Nice. So probably my favorite song on that album was Trippin', which was with Missy Elliott. So you enjoyed your experiences with Missy?
That's my favorite as well. Yeah.
Excellent.
And there were so many other records that Missy did that didn't come out that were dope. But, I mean, listen to the album. There's a lot of great records on the second album.
Okay. So you're with a huge record label. You're surrounded by incredible artists. Craig Mack, you got Biggie, you got Mace, of course, Diddy. What goes through your head before a show? Is there a lot of pressure? Are you nervous?
No, I don't know. You just get this energy and you just do it. Like, you just go out there and you just do it. Like, just try and stay out of your head. We always made sure we prayed, lots of laughs, and just made sure we kept the energy good and high and just went out on the stage and did our thing. Like, those were the moments where, like, you just did it. You cannot not show up at that point.
Now, have you ever been at a show where they weren't exactly total fans or they didn't respond well to you?
Yes. We did a show here because I live in the DMV area, and we did a show in Washington D.C. These guys had booked us with this. I forget what go-go band it was, and I'll never forget. They said you never mix go-go and hip hop because DC people just want to just see their go-go bands and stuff like that. So
Sure.
they had us with this mixed crowd. They weren't too responsive. That was the one and only time, though.
Okay. So how did you guys handle it? You went on stage, you just did your thing, you just kind of zone them out, even though they're not responding well?
I mean, the show goes on as usual, and eventually, they'll get into it or not. I mean, at that point, it was just like a one-off. Like, it was just a show that, typically it was just doing for some money. So it didn't even really, we just did what we needed to do, and we got off the stage.
So another song that you guys were featured on, one of my favorite throughout hip hop history is "Tell Me What You Want" by Mace. How was it working with Mace in that entire song?
Oh, Mace was like the new little brother to the crew. So we just embraced. Back then, we all just supported each other. So he just was part of the family. So it was just like, really not. And this is Mace. We get on a record with Mace. We gonna do our thing. It's gonna be a hit, and we did it.
Had 2 albums on Bad Boy, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so I think some fans are kind of confused. Now, it seems like, your music was incredible. It seems like your catalog should have been a little bit bigger. What happened after album 2, at least in terms of Bad Boy? I know you had other work. Did you guys move on? Did you eventually get released, or?
We moved on.
Okay.
Yeah. We moved on, and we moved on. I got married. I had kids. Keisha did the same. Pam moved, took her journey, and then we got back together for the Bad Boy tour.
Excellent. How was it on the Bad Boy tour?
It was great on the Bad Boy tour. The Bad Boy tour, for me, brought closure to a lot. It was, it was the best experience I had thus far being in the music industry, getting back with everybody and literally just having like 2.5 days to rehearse. And it's like we jump back in it like it was nothing. So, that definitely was God's plan. It was definitely a blessing. It was all love. And I hope one day we can experience it again. I would love to go back out on tour with the whole Bad Boy roster.
Excellent. Now, you said something about closure. Are you allowed to elaborate on that?
No.
Okay.
When you start your questions, I'm like, yeah, he trying to lean towards, but no, but it's all good.
Okay, so
I said,
as a fan, I'm not in the music industry. It was just kind of confusing after the 2 hot albums. You would think that there had been a 3rd or a 4th. So it's not that I'm trying to set you up for. You guys did break up.
The obvious thing is we broke up and we moved on. Yeah, we did. But it was no love loss or nothing like that. We just, life just took us all on a different journey.
Sure. Now, who on the Bad Boy record staff or any of your past label mates, who do you say you keep in contact the most outside of your group, of course?
Faith. She's such a sweetheart. She always has been from day one, and she remains. So, she's someone that, here and there, we're not on the phone talking to each other all the time, but here and there we'll send each other a text, miss you, love you, and when we see each other, it's like nothing's changed.
So, getting into your off the radar segment. So, you were part of Bad Boy when Biggie was unfortunately gunned down in 1997. Do you remember where you were?
I remember being home, sleep, and getting a phone call. So, yes, I remember that night very well.
What went through your mind?
I was in New Jersey. I was just hurt. Biggie was family. We met Biggie. All of us met before we were signed to our deals. We met Biggie back at Uptown. So, and it was, like I said, everything was always, when we met each other, it was this automatic bond. Biggie would come to Jersey and visit me and my family. We would go to Boston Market because that was one of his favorite places. So I was hurt. I felt, I lost somebody that I love. So I was hurt.
Absolute legend. Yeah. Did you realize at the time the incredible talent? Did you have an idea he would go on to be possibly one of the best artists, rappers of all time.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, yeah, like I mean, that was just the whole vibe then, like definitely. There
Sure.
was nothing, Biggie touched that didn't give you that type of feeling that he's gonna be a legend.
Excellent. Now, can you think of a time maybe he guided your career or maybe gave you like, no, Kima, sing a song this way or that way throughout your career that he maybe gave you some advice?
The only advice that he gave us collectively, like he always made sure that, like that regardless to whatever that we kept a tight sisterhood. He used to be like, don't be like these other groups, even though, eventually that's what happened and Breakup and da 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 da. That was really the only advice he gave us. We weren't always in the studio with each other a lot of times because, they would be out on the road promoting their hit, their records, and we would be in the studio, or they'll be in the studio, we would be out promoting our records. But, when we got together, that was the one thing Biggie said that's always stood out. Like, handle your business, make sure, y'all don't be running around here like no little chicken heads and breaking up and doing, what I'm saying? Like, that type of stuff.
Sure, sure. Who's a better rapper, Tupac or Biggie?
I like them both. I feel like, they both have their own lane and their own purpose. Like, I'm definitely, Biggie, that's my brother. I'm a Biggie fan, but
sure.
I'm not gonna put them both against each other because I feel like they have a lane. They have their own lane, and we get something from both of them. You know what I'm saying? That sticks with us. So.
Okay. Well, before I let you go, can you tell me anything about Craig Mack? I feel like he doesn't get enough attention. Unfortunately, we lost him relatively recently, and he was huge in the 90s. No doubt about it. Flavor New Year, the remix, huge songs.
Yeah, he set he set it off for everybody. So, Craig definitely, like, there's memories of Craig. Like, we met Craig back at Uptown. We, it was Craig Mack, Biggie, and us. We were like we were like the three original acts. And all love, big brother Craig Mack was humble dude. I remember, we had this shared tour bus with Craig. He was like, I gotta be on the bus with Total with all these girls, and we were like, we'll give you the bunker in the back. And it was just all love all the time. So I miss Craig, and may God bless his soul and his family. I haven't seen or spoken to him prior to his death at all. It was very disappointing that he was not on the tour. But we loved Craig. There was always genuine love for Craig Mack. And, without him, there's possibly would have been no us. So, because he put out that first hit.
Excellent. Do you get recognized as Kima very much when you're out of the store or anything like that? Or?
I mean, yeah, people do, occasionally. Like, they always say, oh, you're not very approachable. You always have this mean look on your face. It's like, because I'm always out with a purpose. I go to get what I need and go to get out. But, yes, people do sometimes.
Well, Kima, it's an absolute pleasure talking to you. Anything else you want to promote? How can fans keep up with your career?
You definitely can keep up with me by all social media outlets. My name is Totally Kima on IG, Facebook. I'm not really on Twitter. Definitely go and follow at Kima X Marie. Check out her single Pressure on all digital outlets, and just look for some new music coming from her. My son. Yeah, we just keeping it moving.
All right, Kima, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.